Alrighty, let's get into this. Welcome into my humble abode. Today we're talking about Stranger Things Season 5 and the finale. A little bit of a two-parter thing going on here. I watched the finale 2 days ago, and, I caught up with the whole Season 5 in one day, because the way Netflix is with their whole, they don't want to drop every episode at once, or just the way they did this one was a little bit interesting. Like, they were really just trying to get that viewership, with doing part one or book two or whatever, like during the holidays. Like, hey, all the family's around. After done opening up the gifts and getting all the food, it's like, well, you gotta watch. Like, oh my god, Stranger Things got 3 episodes. Like, yeah, let's do that. I wonder how many people did do that. I don't know if I wouldn't do that. If I was with family, I wouldn't really be wasting time watching a show, But anyways, the way they released it was kind of weird, so I watched it all in one go. So my relationship with Stranger Things, right? So, my good friend and I, we watched the whole series together when every season came out. I personally have always felt very different about this series. Like, I always felt like season 1 was perfect, right? Like, I actually really think season 1, and the reason why it popped off so well, because season 1 really did capture that 80s spirit they're trying to hold on to, like that. They really captured it from the music, the costume design, the characters, the plot, just everything felt right. It felt like what they wanted to do. Very realized vision, right? That's why it's so good. And I remember, though, I was like, every season after that, 2, 3, 4, not a lot, though, but like, I always felt like, they felt good, but I always have been the boat that I feel like it should never have been a series. I think a mini-series like that was, like, perfect, right? But, you know what happens with really, big things, right? They make a lot of money. You can't stop the train, you know what I'm saying? So, I understand why it became a series, and I don't think that a lot of the seasons were bad, I'm glad that we didn't just get, 10 seasons of this shit. That'd been a lot. But, I always felt like, I don't know, it just never felt like it needed to be a series. Again, that's a very minority opinion. That's how I feel, though. But yeah, when they were revealed in season 4 that this was like Vecna all along, right? All this stuff happening was because of Vecna. I'm gonna be honest right now. I never liked Vecna. I don't hate him. I think some of his stuff is kind of cool. I thought the reveal that he was the first experiment guy in Web 1, I thought was pretty a good reveal. I hate his design. Everyone can fight me on that. I think his season 4 design is complete garbage. I hate it. I hate that. His little pot belly, little open skin belly. He looks so gross, and not in a good way. He looks so dumb. I'm sorry. I hate his design. I know it's kind of a recap of how I feel, but I think it's very important to go into that before I go into how I feel about the finale season, because I really enjoyed how season 4 kind of felt like Endgame, where it felt like they're really going into this is the ending, right? And how they failed, right? Like the gang failed. They didn't stop Vecna's plan. I really enjoyed that whole Endgame kind of thing where it really felt like, wow, they gotta really do some shit in the next season, How the grounds open up, the upside downs happening, and so we lead into that, right? There's really hyped up stuff, and then we lead into how in the very first episode they close the portal immediately. And I know people are saying, well, they couldn't have it open because the government would shut it down, and I get that. I'm not saying the decision to do that was bad. I think having it happen so immediately, I don't think that was a great idea. I really wish we could have had some kind of backflash or something going on of showing the effects, of what happens when this portal's open, right? And I think that they also did that because in the show, I think it's funny. The entire bunch of like Hawkins, right? They don't really even like they're not aware of like any of this shit happening, right? It's like you'd think the ground opening up would have people react to that, right? Because the whole thing about Eddie, right, in season 4 is that no one believes that he was a hero, right? No one believes in all this like Dungeons and Dragons like magic stuff, right? There's no need to, right? Because it's all in the upside down. But when the crack happens and like it's for everyone to see, because you can't really avoid that. Like they cover it up, and people are like sledding. The kids are like sledding on the metal pavement that they covered up with the hole or the crack. And I'm like, so everyone's aware there was a crack here. There's like it's not like oh they put a crack there and then put a Band-Aid over it and no one knows where it is. No, people are around that thing, and they have a scene towards the end episode where like Robin and Vicky like Vicky finds out that Robin's telling the truth, but I'm like. The entire time, Vicky's like, "You're crazy." I'm like, even Robin's like, "There's a crack that open. The Earth split in two," and she's like, "I don't care." It's like, I don't know. It was a weird like acknowledgement of like, "Wow, yeah, we did this," and no one believes him. So like, we'll have Robin say, "How is it a crack happen in the Earth and no one like, and it's too much for you to believe in monsters?" Like, yeah, it is. Like, the crack, like, it wasn't a normal one either. It's like. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I guess everyone just believed it was an earthquake. I don't know. It's like, maybe give me a way to, like, to see how everyone reacts to this instead of just, like, showing the aftermath. Like, I don't know. It's a very huge part of that, but I already am, like, bringing that up because that's the very first thing that you have to experience, right? It's already kind of showing you how, like, they're more focused on how the plot's going to go forward instead of having the plot make sense. And that does happen, I feel like, a lot in the final season where I feel like it's probably the one season where I feel like it had a lot of hiccups building up to everything compared to a lot of other seasons, I don't remember feeling this many hiccups in season 4. Even 2, 3, I just felt was kind of boring. I know everyone loves 3 because of the mall aesthetic. And yeah, the mall aesthetic is really nice and the vibes and everything, but I've only watched all of them like once. So I can't give a concrete, like, this is how I feel about it. I know, season 1, I already know how I feel about that, because I do remember the feeling I got from that. Everything else has been kind of like, I don't remember my true feelings, But 3 is kind of like up there where I felt like I didn't like it that much. I remember saying I didn't like it very much. But, I'll watch it again now. I want to watch the whole thing again and really feel like, hey, this is the full show, right? Let me get the full experience, okay? So, again, season 5, though, most recent memory, right? So, like, I know what I feel like, and I feel like a lot of things were very choppy. It felt like it needed to be a lot longer, and I think it's so funny how, like, we waited so long for this, right? All these kids, I don't need to talk about the memes or whatever about how all these kids look so ugly because they're old. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it right now because nobody watches these like reviews, and I'm going to say it right now. Everybody in this show is so fucking ugly. I don't know why that is. I have never seen a main cast full of people that are so ugly to look at. Like, I'm like, bro, you got like Hollywood money for like makeup and shit, and you look fugly. Everyone looks so gross. And it's funny because at the end, everyone looks better because they're older, but like when they're trying to make them look like kids, I think that's the problem because they're making them look like I don't know. Like they just look. Robin looks fucking ugly. I'm sorry, she looks like a fucking druggie. I think it's funny because Vicky accused her of being a druggie, and I'm like, yeah, you look like one with like your baggy eyes and shit. And then at the end, because she's growing up, maybe that's why they had to make them look a certain way because when they at the end, like when they're all quote unquote grown up after like a year, like they all look different. I'm sorry. Whew. I'm not pretty either. I'm just saying. It's the whole main cast, and not one of them looks good. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's done. I'm just saying, though, yeah, it kind of feeds into the whole thing about, like, they're all kids, but they're all adults, and, it's so hard. I will admit that also, it was so hard to get past that, because it's like they don't look like kids anymore. But they're all, like, they all are acting the same way, because this has not happened. It's been a couple of years in the universe, but like for us, it's been a lot of years. You can see it. And I really wish they would have just, I don't know, have a jump year later kind of thing. Like, you didn't need to have it happen like so back to back in the universe. You know, you could have had them grow up. I'm not sure why they just really wanted to be like, hey, no, this is maybe because again, like they wanted the whole finale for the graduation. I'm gonna have spoilers too in this. I don't care. I'm just gonna say it because I need to. You know, the whole graduation at the end when they're from high school, they have to, I guess, keep them in that span of years because they have to graduate. They can't have them just graduate off screen because it's part of the whole emotional part at the end. But yeah, so, you know, they gotta stop Vecna. Vecna's got a new I Am Groot look. I know everyone talks about how badass he looks, but I'm being very honest right now. I mean, he looks better than other Vecna, but now he's just Groot. It's like they fixed the whole pop belly look, and they just turn him into Groot, where like he even like extends his arm like Groot does. I'm like, why did you make him Groot? I know it's like, you know, from when he gets, you know, attacked by the gang and he's put on fire and everything, he's, you know, recouping, you know, like he's regrowing, I guess. Like, why did he look like Groot? He literally looks like Groot, and I don't care what everyone else says. He looks like Groot. So, you know, it's fine. He's more of a threat now. It's kind of cool, you know. And, you know, the plot is that, like, he's trying to kidnap these kids. And, you know, we have that new fat kid, Derek. You know, it's funny because, you know, I like in the promotional material where, like, he's, you know, part of the poster. And he goes, like, you know, will you join us for one last adventure? And everyone's kind of going, like, man, you haven't even been in the other adventures. I don't even know who you are. You know, and, like, you know, he's not really annoying. Like everyone says, like, he kind of grows on you a little bit. Like, he's funny sometimes, but, like, you know, it definitely is still, like, that's the new character for this, right? Like, you know, Season 3 had Billy. Season 4 had Eddie. You know, those are pretty memorable characters, you know? But we get Derek for Season 5. And I'm kind of like, I mean, he's not bad, but it's like, that's our new character for the last season. I feel like we should have had a lot more. Eddie was pretty memorable. I'm not, like, a huge Eddie fan. Again, that Puppet of Masters were, you know, that little Metallics thing at the end. That still is pretty epic. That was a good scene. That is Eddie's scene. You know. That was good. We don't get a scene like that though in here. Like we get a scenes, but not like a character scene. You know. I mean, I'll take that back. I mean, that one was like such a Eddie moment though. You know, it really was only him. There was nothing else about that. It was only him. I will say, yeah, that still is that moment. You know, everyone shares moments in here, but it's not like they're, you know, in my opinion. But, you know, so we have the Vecna's trying to kidnap these kids. Kidnaps Holly. Holly now is a main character, and she's all right. She is so fucking traumatized, though. Like, that girl goes through so much shit in this show. It's kind of insane how much shit they put her through in this. Like, I would not be surprised if she goes through a psych ward after this. It's insane how much they put her through in this season. It's crazy. Again, this is just what stands out to me. Kind of like Jeremy Johns, where he just kind of hops around. I'm the same way. I'm just like I don't like just kind of retreading around old ground because I don't feel like it doesn't do anything. You know, I like just doing my own thing. So again, you know, like I really there's some good scenes in here. You know, like I really enjoy the one shot scene where the gang is trying to rescue some of the kids, but like Vecna and his like, you know, minions are attacking the soldiers and everything. It's a one shot. It's really good. It's very impactful. There's really just fun to look at, right? And Vecna being an imposing force. Not gonna lie though, it's like they're trying to make him Thanos, right? Or Thanos. And I don't ever feel it from him. And I don't know why. I really do think it's because I hate his design. Maybe if he had a cooler design, I feel more of a threat from him, but I'm just like, I can't. You're Groot. You're literally Groot. And Groot's a good guy, so I don't care about you. So it doesn't really matter that you're just like, one-shotting everybody. I don't know. It just doesn't feel. But I will say, when Will finally, controls Vecna, because he's part of the hive mind, and he just, turns his neck and he snaps his leg, I cheered for that one. I did. Because I love when, the main villain that, is untouchable actually gets hurt. Season 4, I remember, when they're throwing the bottles at him, the fire, the Molotovs, and then, Nancy's, shooting him. I remember it felt good, but not like that, because I kept going, Nancy, shoot him in the head! We watched Avengers Infinity War. Go for the head. And she didn't. And you know what happened? He survived. That's why in here, I like, okay, this is kind of a weird thing to say, but, I like when people, go for the legs, shooting or attacking, because I'm like, that proves to me that you know what you're doing, because, everyone shoots for the fucking guts and everything, and, that never works in fiction. Going for here doesn't do anything unless you're, putting a stake through their heart, Bullets and everything right here, nothing ever happens here. Go for the leg, they can't move. Go for the head, they can't do anything. That's why Will going for his leg and just snapping it, I was like, there you go. Now I can't chase him. I'm like, there we go. There we go. I mean, he could have just twisted his neck. I just saw that right now. Maybe that was harder to do. I don't know. But I like when Will, again, the actor playing Will has weird acting moments, I will admit. I'm like, some of the line deliveries are kind of off. But the part where he's controlling Vecna, you really feel like he's grabbing his leg and snapping it. And then, when he turns his head and he talks through Vecna and he goes Max, if you hear this, you need to run! That was you really felt that moment. I was like, good job, Will. Good job. I really like this scene. And then we have the Will coming out scene. Now, that got, bombed on reviews, right? And you know what? As I've gotten older, right, I have definitely grown up when it comes to representation in media. I feel like, it's so difficult. Now, this is a weird little tangent right now. It's not important, but, it is important, but representation is very important in media, and I hate it that Hollywood takes, LGBT, minority groups, handicaps. Am I saying it? I probably shouldn't say, I don't know. But, people, that are in those kind of groups, right? We take them, and we don't really give them the respect they deserve, We don't give them, anything to really go, yeah, that's who I am, and it's a good representation. I always feel like it's always shoehorned into things, it's always written so poorly, and I just don't get why. Why do we write things so horribly when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? There's a reason why then everyone hates them. We have a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of young kids always talk about, woke shit, and I'm not gonna lie, when I was growing up and watching shit and I saw things getting pushed, I didn't like it either. Now I see why they're doing it, and I do support a lot of this kind of stuff, because it is important, I think one of the greatest, it's funny because the show is, really weird, but Sex Education, right? I forgot his name, but it's the gay friend for the main guy, right? When he gets attacked, for just being who he is and just, dressing up as a drag, it's it was really sad, and it affected me, because it just really showed, people just want to live their life, and there are bad people on both sides, where there are people that are over extremists on the LGBT, as well as the not LGBT. There's just bad people on both sides that don't give a good representation of whatever side they're on, And it hurts, because I remember seeing that, and it showed me what they have to go through sometimes. And it really helped me get put into their shoes. And that is what I'm talking about, how it's important. It's important because people will not understand things unless they can feel it, right? Or if they go through it. Now, I'm doing this right now because I really hate how every single time we do this kind of stuff, and they talk about how important it is, and they do shit like that coming out scene for Will. That was horrible. It was so unrealistic. Not because it was like, it just felt so fake. It was bad. And I'm not even going to try to say that, no, they did not write that well. And I don't, talking about how they had to get that scene right, they have rewritten shit, you know? Maybe you rewrote it way too much to where it became bad. Because I'm sorry, like, having, oh my god, just the reason for it is like Will saying that, like, oh, he's afraid that Vecna's gonna use this thing to, like, make it to where, like, his friends won't like him anymore. He's gonna use it in the final battle, so he's gotta come out as I'm gay. That doesn't. Sure. Okay, sure. I'll buy that. And then, though, like, when he's doing that, he's crying, which again is very real because he's like, yeah, he's afraid. I mean, because again, this is the 80s, so it's a little bit more like looked down upon. The emotion that he gives is real, right? But then, oh my god, like everyone's like I'm with you, like I won't leave you. And everyone's like, me too. It's like me too, me too, me too. They're all. I'm like, I was like cringing. I'm like, oh my god, like that just I hated looking at that. That was just like, why would you write it like that? Like, why you have his friends to support him, of course, but why are you having the whole like, me too, me three? It's like that is so fake. That does not happen in real life. You can have them support your friend coming out, but not have it feel like a cartoon, like on Saturday morning cartoon. I was just like, I hated that. That was just. It was so bad. Even the guy playing Will was like, I guess in an interview he was like, yeah, didn't feel right because yeah, it was not good. I'm just like, again, they said they rewrote that scene because of how important it was, and that's kind of thing I feel like maybe where it's like, it was so important that I think they just went too far, like when you try to perfect something so badly and then you almost like you ruin it because you're just so focused on it. That's probably what happened with that scene. Because that was a horrible scene. And it's sad because no one's saying it's horrible for the right reasons. Everyone's just mad because it's a coming out thing. It's like, we all knew he was gay. Like, last season was the most, like, in your face about it. But we all knew Will was gay. Like, it was not a surprise. So everyone's saying that that's a bad, that's why it was bad. Like, no. A coming out scene is not really bad. Because of how it was done is why it was bad. But yeah, anyways, they have a whole plan to fight Vecna. Oh god, the whole plan shit in this season was this. It's a crafting table. Like every scene in this show, and everyone talks about like, oh well, it was in the other seasons. It's like, yeah, it was. But I don't know if they just did it too much in this one because I'm like every single episode is like. This is Vecna. This is Will. See this right here? Will can control Vecna because they're one and the same. He can use them like I'm like, bro, like every scene was like that with every idea, every plan, and I was like, it was just like, why are we doing this? Like so, like again, I really do feel like the writing in here was like, did you guys just like get tunnel vision or something? Like, did you just have it where like, hey, we're the Duffer Brothers, okay? We made this show, alright? So, you can't tell us what to do, alright? We want it this way, it's gonna be like that. Did they not have anyone tell them like, hey guys, I don't think you wrote that really, really good? Because it has their DNA in it, but I'm not gonna lie, I feel like they were just doing it by themselves. They probably told everyone, hey, don't fuck with us, okay? We know the show, okay? Don't tell us how to write a script, because I'm not gonna lie. I feel like when you're writing a script, you do need help, You need outside forces to help you write better. It's your original idea, When you write, there are people that can write, They have ideas. But sometimes from what I've seen, scripts really are hard to write. Which is why I don't think I'll ever do it. I don't know. I love writing. But I'm just saying, there are some people that just cannot write dialogue. They cannot write scenes. They can write ideas, but it stops there. Because I don't get why they just kept doing that so much in this season. Of like, lemon juice! Lemon juice! That's it, guys! Lemon juice! We gotta fight Vecna! It's like, it just kept happening. It was just like, oh my god. So, there's just so much shit to talk about. And it's so hard to get through all of it, like in one video. Like, I could talk about, too, like how, Max and Holly and that whole thing in the mine was, kind of boring. And then Max leaving Holly behind because they find a way out, but Max goes through her body and she tells Holly, look, you can find your own way out. Follow your heart. And when they go their separate ways, I always think I saw a meme online about it. I was like, yeah, see, everyone probably thought the same thing. Like, Max, she's running, and she's like, I get to go back to Lucas, back to his loving embrace. And Holly's like, she told me I'll be okay. I'll be okay. And Holly wakes up like, she wakes up in the fucking abyss, like all by herself. I'm like, man, one person had a better wake up. The other person fucking woke up in hell. It's like, poor Holly, and then when she even escapes the abyss, she falls to the upside down, like, in the sky. She's like, ah! She, like, falls because the abyss, like, on the top. Oh, yeah, that's the big reveal. I forgot. The big reveal is that the upside down is a wormhole. It's like a portal. Like, here's the abyss. Here's the upside down. Here's Hawkins. And now, it's like, it's funny because, like, they really wanted you to be like, hey, we're going to have reveals, guys. These reveals are legendary, okay? Like, you're not going to see any better reveals than Stranger Things. And all these reveals were kind of like, okay. Like, I'm not going to lie, it being a wormhole, I was kind of like, I guess it makes sense. I mean, I don't know. Am I just, like bored of it? Because I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, yeah, it definitely was like, whoa, that's a thing. But, like, I don't know. I don't really feel anything different about it. Didn't really reveal, like, to the point of, like, oh my god, I see everything so differently now. Like, wow, it's a wormhole? It's like, yeah, it's a wormhole, okay. I don't know. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll feel it. I don't feel it right now, though. But, yeah, and then the reveal of why Vecna takes kids, because that was bad. Like, the reveal was that kids are weak-minded, so that's why he takes them, because they're weak. And Will was like, and Will, you broke the easiest of all. It's like, okay. Again, it's just funny how, like, they talk about, like, Will, his being taken was purposeful, It's like, well, by that logic, no, it's not purposeful. It's more of like, could he sense that Will was weaker than everyone else? Is that why? He was just the weakest kid in all of Hawkins? It's kind of sad. Like, imagine a whole town of people, and you're the only one that's, like, the weakest of them all. I guess. The weakest mind. I don't know. That was a really bad reveal of why he took Will. Like, because he was just the easiest to manipulate. And then it turns out he's actually not. He's the one that saved the day. Fuck you, Vecna. You were wrong. Okay. Yeah, so that whole reveal about the kids thing and about why he takes them was just... Yeah, kids are weak because they're young. There's a Peter Pan over here with, like, imaginary, like, kids have a pure heart. Again, I'm laughing about it when I think about it. I'm like, man, they just did not... I think it's because, again, they kept overhyping it, It's like, they really thought that this was a thing to reveal. They really were like, we're going to push this. Like, this is our magnum opus. Like, no, it's not. All the reveals were just, like, 8 being alive and, like, 8 being controlled by the government. Like, the reveal, like, oh, look, she's back. Like, I was like, yeah, there's no one else that you show because, they're trying to be like, well, who's being used as, like, a kryptonite, Like, who's being used to hurt Elle, right? With these psychic powers. Like, oh, I wonder who's... They say it's Vecna. Why would you reveal it's the person, like, who's behind the vault, right? You're not going to say who it really is. It's going to be someone else that you don't know who it is. It's like, well, who else has psychic powers in this show? the one person that no one liked in that one episode, 8. Wow, you got me, guys. Duffer Brothers, you brought back a character that no one liked. That's crazy. And then I like it how then the plot is her telling Al, like, look, you have, oh my god, what's his name? Henry. You have Henry's DNA in you. So they're going to come after you. No, they're not going to stop. You got to kill yourself, Al. We got to kill ourselves. That's basically her whole plot until the very end. She's like, actually, everyone loves you. You can have a life. It's like, I liked how they brought back a character that no one liked and then gave her a plot about having her tell our main character we all love to kill herself. And then she only gets a little bit of redemption at the end. It's like, everyone at that point, I feel like, would have probably, like, just written her off again because no one likes her to begin with. I don't know, I just thought it was kind of funny. No. But yeah, so that little plot line, the government stuff is, like, really boring. They have, like, they're just annoying. They just come out of nowhere and they just make things worse for everybody else. So, the government. Like, real life. But yeah, so that's season 5, right? And so I will be very honest right now, it's like, there were good scenes, right? There were scenes that I liked watching. And then most of the season, though, I still stand, it doesn't matter how much the finale was pretty satisfying. I did not like this season. I feel like if I had to watch it again, this was the most boring season to ever watch. Just nothing really happened. I don't know, the build-up in this was just not good. And I'm being very honest about that right now. I just did not have fun. I think, it's passable. I think people misunderstand when people say that it wasn't the best. It's not bad, I just feel like it just wasn't interesting to watch. This is a finale. I should feel things, A reveal should be really big, right? And they just were not. They just weren't for me. I'm sorry to say that. They just weren't for me. And again, it's just not a bad thing. There are bad things out there. There are bad seasons, like Game of Thrones. That was bad. That's not even like, oh, I didn't let you know that was bad. This was just, fine. There's just some things that were just not the best. I don't really like where they were going with it. The plot was boring. Finding all the kids and everything like that, it just wasn't fun for me. And that's just my opinion. It's not bad, though. Everyone can't like it. I can see why people would like it, Now, that's how I feel about season 5. The finale, though, I'm going to kind of rush through it because you know why? The finale is one of the most safest finales I've ever seen. And you know what, though? It's not a bad thing. I'm happy they went a safe route and didn't do anything weird or rush it. I mean, they did kind of rush it. But it's still safe. Nothing bad happened, really. Again, they find Vecna. They find his hideout. The whole gang, they find his hideout. I will admit, though, them not fighting any Demogorgons or anything leading up to finding Vecna's fortress, and I guess the Duffer Brothers, like, explained why, and like, I remember they said this like in an article, I guess, but like it said like, oh, there's no Demogorgons or anything because Vecna didn't think he'd get attacked on his home turf, so they're there, but he just didn't feel like he needed to do anything like that. Like that's fucking bullshit. You didn't have the budget for that. Or you're just dumb enough to not think that they need that. No, that was dumb. Because in my opinion, like, look, Vecna and the Mind Flayer are the boss fight. Okay, that's what you're leading up to. Okay? We're in the Abyss now, right? A whole new area. And you're really telling me there's no fight before the big fight. That just doesn't work. Like, you need to have the characters do things kind of like go through trial and fire before they get to the final boss. Getting to the Abyss and then just fighting the boss immediately just felt so anticlimactic. Like we've been leading to this for 5 seasons, especially last season, and then you're telling me they just fight him immediately. There's no struggle to get to there. There should be like one last push before you connect, and they didn't do that. And their reasoning was like, oh, the Vecna didn't think he'd get attacked on his home turf, so it's empty. And I was just like, yeah, that's bullshit. That was just a no budget probably for the, I don't know, they splurged it on the other episodes. I don't know. But that one I was kind of like, yeah, that's a little weird. Then when Elle has to, like, get up there to Vecna, there's a scene where she's like, I have to jump the rocks, right? Because there's like little platforms to hop up to the Abyss. And I was like, no, don't do it. And I was like, yeah, trust me. And like, oh yes. I am so shocked. They didn't try to do a running up that hill kind of like version of that. Like, not the same song, but I'm saying like, their own like, this season's own version of that. Like a very slow motion music video kind of thing, right? It would have been so fun like to see Elle hopping and maybe a really grand music thing, right? Showing her struggle to get up there and maybe have her not really get there yet and then have her almost like fall down and then the next scene happens and she's there, because she saves the day. Cause I was like, they really just skipped over that whole thing. I was like, wow, I was kind of shocked by that. Then they fight Vecna and the Mind Flayer. One thing I did really like, though, is that they kind of reveal that, because I did not like how it was told that Vecna was the one who controlled everything, and the Mind Flayer was, like, just his creation. I did not like that in the season 4. I was like, oh. Because I like the eldritch horror kind of, Mind Flayer thing. So having it just be like, oh, it was a little puppet thing. I was like, oh, that's stupid. I didn't like Vecna that much. But having it be revealed that no, the Mind Flayer and Vecna are one. They're kind of like a team. I was like, good. Yeah, bring back the Mind Flayer. I was like, good. The Mind Flayer is its own entity, And it's not really controlling Vecna fully, but kind of influencing his ideas. And Vecna, already broken person, is kind of feeding into that too. And so they're kind of like they're one. So I was like, yeah, I like that. That was a good kind of thing. I agree with everyone else. I really feel like Vecna should have had his own episode. We need to have more of a thing with him because the reveal that his trauma, his transformation as a kid when he's in a little cave space or like mining thing where like a guy shoots him and then he has to like bash this guy's head in to survive, and then like the little briefcase had like a thing from the abyss. I don't know. They probably are doing it very vague because they want to keep the show going, but not like I guess in the live action thing. Like they're probably gonna they're probably leaving it vague for that very reason to like explore that into a different season, or not even a season, but a different like I guess branding of the show. And I'm like, all right, because it's not that important. Where I'm like, oh wow, what's going on? I'm like that's enough for like they give enough kind of explanation of why. And it's kind of like, if you want to learn more, you can. If you don't need to, you don't. Like The Walking Dead, that's how you don't do that shit. Where, like, you leave things ambiguous to watch more series. Like, no. That shit was horrible. But so, yeah, that reveal the other one was good. The fight was also pretty good. The music was really good in that, too. I loved all the back and forth of, like, the gang fighting the Mind Flayer and Elle fighting Vecna. That felt very perfect for them to fight that stuff, And then at the end, like, when they get Vecna and they won, and it's really satisfying because, a lot of shows pull back punches, right? And they don't really always, like, go for, like, that final kill kind of thing, right? So it was really satisfying when, like, they got Vecna there, and he's like, as he's skewered through, like, the heart, like a steak, and he's, like, he can't move. And I love it how, I can't remember her name. Winona Ryder's character, Mrs. Byers. That's bad. I don't remember her name, but Mrs. Byers, right? She just like takes an axe and just wails on his neck to cut off his head. And I liked how like every single like strike, it showed how Vecna's affected each person of the gang. That was just so satisfying. Now one final swing, and Vecna's dead. He's gone. And I was like, good! You actually just kind of get a very satisfying takeout for a villain. Same thing with like one of the army guys that was like really a bad guy. Like Elle just shoots him in the face. Like that was like, you didn't hold back. You didn't have an off-screen kind of death. Good. I want to see them suffer because they're assholes, So that's really good. I'm like, good for them. They did that good. I felt again the build-up for the first hour for them fighting Vecna, and it felt way too fast. Because when they're like done fighting the Mind Flayer, I was like, oh, they're done? I was like, oh, that was fast. So yeah, I definitely feel like there should have been a lot more build up to them, because this is the final fight of the series. I should feel more of a going up the stairs, fighting and opening a door and fighting the boss kind of feeling. I just felt it felt like we're walking to the door. It's like up in the air, right? And we're like, how do we get to it? and someone just kind of throws you up there and you go right in there. It's like there was no gradual walk up to the door. There's just kind of like someone just checked you at the door, you know? The last hour where it's revealed because Elle still feels like she needs to get rid of herself. So she kind of like kills herself in the Upside Down, like where it blows up and everything, and everyone's like, no, Elle, no. You know, it's pretty sad. The last, like, I think 40 minutes, like, it's just kind of like the aftermath of like what happened, right? Yeah, the government just kind of lets them go. Like, they have them all captured, and then they just kind of let them go. I don't know why. And again, the Duffer Brothers' explanation was like, oh, well, you know, Elle's gone, so there's no need to, you know, keep them. Like, no, they killed American soldiers. I don't think they just kind of go like, little, all right, guys, a little slap on the wrist, there you go. No. So that just, it kind of felt like they were like, well, how do we get them out of here? Like, cut to the next scene? Yeah, I was like, you could tell they didn't know how to end that. So I'm like, okay, it wasn't that important. It's like, all right. There's already so many things like that. I think my brain was kind of like, okay, it's just makes sense now. You know, they graduate, and Dustin has a really good speech, not gonna lie. I really feel like it was probably one of the best graduation speeches where I felt kind of inspired, and I was like, that was a good speech. I really liked that, you know, talking about, like, you know, like, fuck the system, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, just, you know, like, chaotic good and chaotic evil are a thing, and chaotic good needs to happen in order for change to happen. I was like, wow, it just felt very real. I'm like, yeah, that's a really good written speech. I really like that. And Dustin saying, fuck you to the principal and everything. I was like, that was great. I loved that. Then the whole gang having a moment during their little D&D campaign for the last time, talking about Elle and like their lives. Not gonna lie, it was really sweet. I really like that little just parting of the characters. And oh, Joyce! That's Mrs. Byers. Joyce and Hopper get married. That was very sweet. Again, things you already kind of saw coming, but it didn't matter because you wanted to see it. And that's the thing I was talking about, where like, it was very safe because everything that you wanted to have happen or knew was going to happen did happen. So it felt good, you know? So yeah, Hopper and Joyce got married. That was very sweet. And again, the gang having one last little campaign was very nice. And, you know, Will was going up the stairs, and, you know, he actually kind of figures out that Elle's could be alive because 8 had a little, you know, illusion of Elle, because that's her powers, right? A little illusion of Elle killing herself, and then Elle actually escapes. And it's kind of left up to interpretation of, that's what Will thinks happened in the story that he made. It makes sense, but it also could not have happened either, you know? And I kind of like how they kind of leave it up to interpretation. But, you know, Elle's not really dead, hopefully. And that was nice. You know, I've kind of gotten used to it, because I used to love when main characters die. I felt like if this doesn't happen, it has to happen. But I've kind of grown now. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I feel like a lot of writers don't like doing that. So I'm kind of like, you know, it doesn't happen. I get it. I prefer a character sacrifice kind of thing more than anybody. I feel like it really just adds a weight to the storytelling. Having a cop-out, I feel like it's kind of like, I don't like that all the time. Depends on how much I like the character, I guess. But I don't know. It just feels like more of like, it just kind of, I don't know, hand-holding the audience of like, no, see, they're not really dead. Don't worry, see, you don't have to cry. It's like, I don't like that. It doesn't feel real. I feel like it should feel like a real-life kind of thing where, like, you know, a main character can die. You know, it happens. Because in real life, everyone dies all the time. Your main character, like, your main character in your story could just die like that immediately. It's real. But yeah, so everyone's a little parting off thing, and Will, you know, like, when after the D&D campaign, he walks upstairs, and his sister and her friends come downstairs and kind of do their own D&D campaign. It was really sweet, you know? And then the door closes, and, like, that's, like, the final shot. And again, I was like, again, it was very safe, but I was like, it was very warm at the end, you know? Like, you really did feel like this is the ending. And all the actors are crying, you know? Because, you know, this is, like, part of their life, too, and they can't play the characters anymore, you know, as far as we know. But yeah, no. The ending was so good, it makes up for everything I had a problem with building up to it. Again, that's kind of the thing where, like, you have a movie or show that, like, has really rough starts. If you can have that ending feel good, you're going to leave the audience with that feeling, no matter how much shit went up before then. That's why, if you have a bad ending, it ruins everything. It does. An ending makes or breaks a story. So that's why I'm like, again, because Way of the Fire and Ash, that ending was horrible, and I can't get that out of my head, even if I like this other stuff in the beginning, right? This one, everything I didn't really like in the beginning, but the ending was good. The ending was satisfying. Like the last hour was great. Um, so yeah, the Stranger Things finale happened. The series is done until they make a spinoff, which they're already gonna do. I already because they gotta make money. But you know what? I'm like, with all the shit that happened in this season, I keep saying, it did finally feel like no, this was a full story they wanted to tell, and it convinced me. I'm like, yeah, you know what? It definitely feels like they had a vision. Now, was that vision flawless? Hell no. There's a lot of shit still kind of up in the air. Like the one biggest thing is like the fucking clock in the season 4 that was like never used again in here. Now it's supposed to affect this whole thing in that one. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah, I really enjoyed the finale at the end. I feel like it did everything that I wanted to do. No surprises, no weird things, and yeah, it was good. I left this series feeling like, you know what, I want to watch it again. And that's kind of the most you can do for a series, I think. Like, it didn't go on too long, and you want to watch it again. A good series will do that. And that's how I think Stranger Things is. It is a good series. You know, it's close to everyone's heart. It's not my favorite series in the world, but I did enjoy my time with it, and I'm very happy that I got to live and experience the ending. So, yeah, good finale. Okay, goodbye. Whoa, an hour-long video! Oh my god!